Good morning, Garrett. How are you, man?
Good morning, my guy. How y'all doing over there?
Doing good, man. First off, some business here in Baton Rouge at LSU. Scott Woodward was introduced as the new athletics director. He gave your dad, Collis Temple, a personal shout out during that introductory press conference, and everybody knows about the relationship that Woodward has with your dad. Talk to me about your I guess what your thoughts are with Woodward now running the athletic department.
Man, I'm ecstatic. I was a fan of Joe Leva. Whatever happened, he stepped down. But I know Scott. I've known Mr. Woodward for a very long time. Me and his son were in school together at U High, and as you know, him and my father are very good friends. So I'm excited for him to be back home, like he said at this press conference. I've kept up with him since I've seen him move around, and I'm just happy that he's leading up our athletic department.
Garrett, when you were at LSU, it was kind of recognized as the golden age of LSU athletics. The football team was winning national championships. The baseball and basketball team was producing at a high clip, and a lot of people recognize the leadership that you guys had in place there with Dan Radakovich as an athletics director, who's now running Clemson's AD department. Skip Bertman. Talk about as a student athlete, how much we don't recognize the leadership above the coaches means to you guys.
It means a great deal. The athletic director really has a tough job in terms of having to divvy up so many the monies that come into the school for athletics, understanding what teams need, what scholarships, obviously for different sports, and just being able to manage players, but also manage the coaches, and a bunch of different coaches, whether it be the head men's basketball coach or the swimming and diving coach or the cross country coach, or the football coach that, they're paying millions of dollars to. So it's a lot of management, and, they have a great team under him. A guy that's been up there for a long time like Virgil Osbury does a great job as well. So It's a lot of different people that do a lot of different things, but it's definitely something that is probably overlooked.
Talking to Garrett Temple here on Off the Bench, 100.3, 94.7, 104.5 ESPN. And G-Tip, I want to talk to you a bit about kind of the key to trying to beat this Warriors team. Before we get there, I want to bring in a conversation we were just having, which is what's going on with the referees right now. And maybe it's just a hot news cycle topic right now. Playoff ratings are down. The reasons for that are many, but a lot of people are pointing to kind of how the superstars are treating the referees and what that example kind of sets and just what that looks like outside looking in. What do you think right now with what you've seen that's going on in that Warriors-Rockets series? You're talking about two of the biggest offenders in the entire league when it comes to seeming like complaining about referees after every single call.
Yeah. And actually, it's not something that's new, unfortunately. Last year, there was something that there was I guess you would call it a so-called rift between the players and the referees. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it was something that the NBA felt like it needed to try to address. So we've taken lengths to have more meetings with the head of the referees and told them our concerns as players. The referees have responded, and it's getting better. Last night's game, for example, I remember Chuck and them and Steve Kerr said that you didn't even notice referees last night. So that's the biggest compliment you can get. You can give to a referee. And the more games we have like that, obviously, probably more people will start watching.
So what are the complaints from the player side, right? Because the NBA especially has been very forward-thinking in publishing grades on all these referees and all the calls in the final 2 minutes and what they got right and what they got wrong. Why are players so upset with the referees?
Well, basketball game is 48 minutes long, so the final 2 minutes there's more to that than, the old saying, every time somebody misses a free throw or misses a shot at the end, what does the coach say? It didn't come down to that. So if a referee messes up a few plays throughout the game and gets them all right in the last 2 minutes, that doesn't mean it was a great ref game. But with that being said, they are human. And I think the biggest thing as players, we need to try to realize, even though it's in the heat of the moment, is that they're human and they're going to make mistakes. And they're human and they have emotions. So as a player, when I talk to my teammates and think of it myself in terms of referees, I try to just remember that they're human and they are going to make mistakes. But we are very competitive players at a high level, and we're playing for a lot. especially come these playoffs. So it's a tough balance.
From the Los Angeles Clippers, Garrett Temple, Baton Rouge native, joining us here, ESPN New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Alexandria. You guys took two from Golden State, both of them at Oracle in the opening round of the playoffs. What makes them vulnerable, G?
Well, you have to score. You have to score and able to keep up with that team. And you have to you have to keep at least one of the three guys under 20 points. The game that we actually won, the second game in Oracle that we won when KD had 45, Steph and Clay actually had 20-plus. But we scored so many points, we were so efficient offensively that we were able to just outscore them. Yeah. That's rare that it's going to happen because, 136 is not average that you can keep sustained. So defensively, you got to hold them to about 110 or below if possible. Very tough. And but at the end of the day, they have a guy named Kevin Durant that, when it comes down to it, they have a guy that they can just give the ball to, and he has great percentages just going one-on-one. So it's tough, but the biggest thing is you have to use your offense as your best defense.
Is this series over?
No, I don't think so. I think the series, a lot of things Chuck says, are Charles Barkley say, maybe wrong, maybe right, but one thing he always brings up is that a series doesn't necessarily start until the home team loses. So, as long as Houston holds court at home, it's still a good series. Now, if they lose the first one, you may be able to count them out, obviously 3-0. If they win the first one and lose the second one, it's going to be a tough uphill battle. But unless Golden State goes in there and takes one or two of those, then obviously I think they still got a chance.
Are the Rockets the best chance of dethroning the Warriors, or do you see another team left among the bunch that maybe can get them?
I think Denver being battle-tested against San Antonio in the first round, they have a lot of weapons offensively, a lot of weapons. And, the only problem is defensively with Jokic on the court.
Yeah.
When the Warriors play their lineup that they started with last night, since DeMarcus unfortunately got hurt, sending my prayers out to him. Yeah. He get healthy. Offensively, Joker is a problem, but on the flip side, with that small lineup for the Warriors, it would be interesting to see how they defend that. So, but they have so many offensive weapons. On the East side, maybe, if Milwaukee plays like they did last night and not the first night, I like them in Toronto. I'm still a little iffy on Toronto just because of the past. Even though they have Kawhi now and he's crazy.
God, he's so good.
Player.
He's so good.
He's so efficient, so good on both ends of the court.
It's incredible.
I still need to see them get through. They lost to Philly one game already, so I need to see them get through these. But I think people sleep on Denver mainly because people don't really know all the players there, and they have a young team. But I think they're pretty potent offensively, potent enough to beat Golden State. Not to say they would, but they have enough offense.
Yeah. And like you said, Jokic is in the zone right now. What about, so speaking of the East, that Celtics Bucks series has been real interesting where Celtics dominate game one. Paul Pierce comes out and says he doesn't see how the Bucks have a chance of winning this series. And then the Bucks come back and they dominate game two. What's your read there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Bucks team that hasn't been a number one seed before and may not know exactly how to handle it. Coach Budenholzer did a good job of bringing them in after the first game and telling them what they needed to hear. And they came out and they played how they were supposed to. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Boston's obviously a team that has been battle-tested since last year, obviously. So it's going to be a great series, but I love the truth, but I wouldn't say that Milwaukee has no chance. They got a guy named Antetokounmpo that may win an MVP, and he is one of the most unstoppable guys in the league. So whenever you have him, you got a chance.
A lot of people are trying to guess what you were doing during this interview. I see jogging. I see speed walking. I'm going to guess golf. What number are you in?
You already know I'm playing golf.
I already know. I know.
I'm on number 9 at University Club as we speak.
I knew it. I could hear the clubs clanking in the back. Great information this morning, my man.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right, man.
G-Temp.
There he is, Garrett Temple, checking in from the Lynx this morning as he drops a little knowledge on the NBA playoffs. His Los Angeles Clippers team was down 31 in the third quarter against the Golden State Warriors, came back and rallied in Oracle in the opening round of the Western Conference playoffs. we appreciate him for stopping by here on Off the Bench on this Wednesday morning. We'll be back and close it out.